Hello, hello. Welcome to your reading. Thank you for the patience. I took a little break there. I was going a little bit too too fire too fiery. Um, Need a few days sometimes when I do like a bunch of readings at once. It's good to have a few days, you know. I'm trying to find the clock. 1 second. What? I'm okay. Anyways, where's the clock? So put it here. Here we are. Okay, so let me just make sure to actually hide everything. Hide it all. Hide all the identities. Hide all the identities. Okay, so that looks good. Okay. hmm Okay, share screen. So I'm having some bomb ratings where I just like turn the camera off and just like go on share screen for like the start at least. So we'll see how I feel. Um, but oftentimes well, every single time, um, it's just been the start. But I don't know, it's kind of cool to just like, and I like for one reading, I projected it on my TV. That was dope. Who's that for again? I can't remember, but I could do that now, actually. That's actually a cool idea. But then I need to make sure that the microphone doesn't do what it did last time. Setting. Where is it? Here. Oh yeah, okay. Here it is. Connect. I hope this isn't messing anything. Oh yeah, it does do that annoying way. Does it only let me only show it in this side? Whatever. Doesn't matter anyways. Okay. So like this. It's on my TV. Um, so 12th house sun and Cancer. So you are right now, you've got the Mars. I'm also Leo rising, so you know, you've got Mars. And is the moon still in Cancer today? But yeah, it's been kind of a crazy, yeah, I mean, it's a 24 Cancer. So yeah, and like by the time you're watching this, it'll be in Leo. But Mars is there for another probably, close, not quite 3 weeks, but maybe 2.5 weeks-ish. But yeah, so just that's more current astrology domain, but just right now, if you don't feel like you have as much power and you need more rest, normal. But I'd have to do like the full current astrology to tell you everything, which we can talk about that later. And I know we have the other compatibility reading also. So, anyways, so with a Leo rising, Sun in the 12th house in Cancer, and then the Moon. Okay, so that's really really interesting. Is 29-degree Moon in Pisces, the 8th house. Oof, Moon conjunct my Sun, by the way, and my Sun's in the 8th house, and my Mercury. So you're definitely gonna really like understand my way of communicating. It'll get through to your emotional being. It's really good synastry for astrologer, a client and astrologer. But anyways, so what I am looking at, obviously, first thing, you have to understand that you're a Leo rising, so the chart ruler is the Sun, which is in the 12th house, conjunct the North Node, and um, to have a 12th house Sun is a very interesting thing. It's very it can feel very hard to pin down, right? In the sense that it's in Cancer, so that's a water sign. 12th house is like the house of Pisces, the house of karma. It's the house of it's a house of service, compassion, but also it can be like the person with the 12th house Sun has a lot of karma they're working through, which isn't not necessarily a bad thing. But what can happen is that there can be like a sense of like loss of identity, right? It's very common with 12th house Sun. Um, but at the same time, that they can gain. Oh, I need to check the microphone thing. I think it's good, but let me check that. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Let me just do a test. Just last time I did 27 minutes, but it's because I used test. Test. Like be walking around. Test. Let me go over here. Test. Test. Oh, it's not testing anymore. Test. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, I did like 27 minutes of reading the other night where I had to redo it. It sucked, and I did it in French too. That was the worst part. Well, because I'm French and she's Canadian, French, Quebec. So I literally like just did like the majority of the first 27 minutes in French, and I realized that it was my computer mic was on because I had a mic. Yeah, who cares? Anyways, back to what I was saying. So having a 12th house Sun is massive. A lot of times people who had that, the father, was typically, absent or, you know, and we have to we have to look at the aspects to the sun. We see that square with Mars, that's square with Saturn, that's square with Pluto. So it's definitely like three malefic aspects in the sun. And they're all together, right? So it's like I wish it'd be so cool if right now it could be filming me like touching. How could I do that? Like have the chart up and I had like a touch screen. And it's like a big screen, and I could just like with my finger like circle. Let me just think of that for a second. Is that possible? I'd have to get like a really massive touch screen. I don't know. Maybe with like an iPad and save the image and put it on Illustrator. Whatever. Be cool though. But yeah, so down there in Libra, you have Pluto, Mars, and Saturn. So those are all squaring the sun. Um, and they're all in conjunction. So there's no T square. There's nothing in Aries. But yeah, like that is difficult, and a lot of your karma. So having a 12th house North Node, right? Um, you are trying in Cancer. You're like this is like the ultimate. Like you are trying to get a very very deep spiritual relationship with yourself in this lifetime. There's been past lifetimes where you've been two in the material world, Cancer or Capricorn, South Node, two, two. When you combine sixth house and Capricorn, it's like someone who has a tendency to be like too much of a worker, um, very much in their masculine. So a lot of people with this, they can be, their last incarnation, maybe they were a male, maybe they identify more with some of the masculine archetypes, not like in a trans way. I always have to make that clear, like, but yeah, like, yeah. So that can be challenging. If they like, there's a tendency to kind of be a male and now you're female, but that's not a guarantee. It's just a potential, right? But the big thing is that there is a tendency to be way more centered on the material world. And let's see if there's any squares. Is Saturn squaring it? Yup, it is. Magic Jesse strikes again. Did swear to God I did not see that. I had to like look close, 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 and I called it. I called it. I called it. I called it. Um, so yeah, that's crazy. I swear, like I did not like I literally like I've just gotten used to like these patterns. So um I love this being on TV, but like I just could feel through the energy of this having that South Node in Cancer. I was like, I guarantee you she has a square South Node with Saturn, right? Because that is what creates it's a skip step, and it's around conditioning. And it's like, you've been too much in that kind of worker, the responsible one, and that shows with your North Node in the 12th house conjunct your sun, that your life purpose is really really around spirituality, around getting deeper to that feminine side and getting past life conditioning that told you this is how you're supposed to live your life. This is how you're supposed to live your life. Ignore, and you have a Pisces moon, which is 29 degrees, which is really showing you that other aspect, right? This is a very, very deep moon. It's not, it's in the eighth house, so it's all about transformations. Um, so, you know, having that, one second, hold on. So, anyways, yeah. So basically, having the Pisces moon. So basically, like having the Pisces moon, right, at 29 degrees in the eighth house, it is, and then having your sun square Mars, square uh Saturn, which is squaring, squaring the nodes also, and square Pluto, which actually, Saturn, Mars are all squaring the nodes, but it's an indication that in this lifetime you have this Pisces moon, you have this Cancer sun because you have not been in that water energy enough in past lives. So you're very, very sensitive. Eighth house moon is someone who's meant to go through these intense emotional transformations at 29 degrees Pisces. Like it's like the last degree of the zodiac, right? So it's very clear that the karma is for you to move past these karmic tendencies. I'll break down in a sec, and to get really deep into your emotions and into that more feminine side. And it's not always easy, but that is kind of how the chart, you know, personal plans and all that connects with the karma. You know, just like kind of seeing it like seeing it like this, right? So basically, all right. So does that make sense though? Because for example, like you saw how I was able to call that, right? And I did not see. I really, I swear I did not see. I just was like, um you know, like she like this feels like I don't know. I just like my intuition, but really like I also just like I could feel like that past life conditioning, because what happens, so a square to the south node um is representing a karmic skip step, right? um and so with Saturn, which is all about conditioning, um and your south node being in Capricorn, so it's ruled by Saturn. So this Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so your south node is ruled by Saturn, and it's squaring it. So there has been an abundance of that, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. Um, I think it's very, very, you know, like it's very much so yeah, like the Saturn, square south node, the skip step, right? Like it's very much it's unresolved karmic material, relate, like I said, to conditioning, but also um, you know, there can be lots of repression, and the person needs to like really, especially in your chart, like take like that emotional maturation, right? And kind of lean into themselves, but also like Saturn, it's like this, it's like there can be like a tendency to be like too hard on yourself, right? Introject, not quite introjects, but there can be like it's very important to like recognize past mistakes. So it's very, very karmic, and the Saturn return is super important for you. But it can also like really be about like just feeling lots of guilt, like you've done something wrong. um and yeah, it's very internalized. um and it can really come from, especially if you grew up like kind of feeling like you were blamed for lots of things, and the upbringing was kind of hard, which, judging by the fact that squares are you know judging by the fact that squares your sun, right? I'm secretly like, I love how this looks on my TV. So I'm just like kind of like making some stories. Um, but yeah, so basically, with how like I was saying, like with this, like karmically, how it is in respect to your son, right? The 12th house. So like, the son, usually the father, there's lots of, the father, like I said, was most likely, not present in some type of way. But all those squares, it's just showing how, like Saturn square Sun, right? That there, like I was gonna say, like there probably was a very strict energy growing up, right? That it's all third house that kind of kept you away from that authentic voice. And now where Chiron is in Taurus, yep, so many of my clients have that. It's around self-esteem. It's around finding that sense of value, that sense of self-love. So that's in the 10th house. You're meant to be a healer, and you know, it could be like your career, right? So yeah, it's very interesting. I'm just posting this like story. Just it's just like fun, It's fun doing it with on my TV. It just feels like very cool. Um, so yeah, overall, we have the like it's been set. Like, the foundation has been set. Now, um, one thing that's interesting is that Jupiter is on the IC, which would usually indicate a very, very positive childhood experience. Now, the fourth house, right? The IC is the kind of upbringing. So this is what's kind of tricky to me, because now that I'm kind of sifting through this, I'm thinking, okay, well, Jupiter's on her IC, so her childhood it's not connecting to the nodes at all. So her childhood, she probably learned a lot. It's 2 degrees from the IC, or one, like closer to 1, like 1.17, like very expansive childhood. Like people have Jupiter on the IC, like they have this inner well of optimism that kind of just shines through. Um, so yeah, it's interesting. Let me look at something. So yeah, basically, hmm, hmm, hmm. Hmm, 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 hmm. Huh, 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 huh. Well, yeah. So the way I take this is this, right? So in my book, Pisces Live 9 Lives, I talk about how a lot of my trauma, like I experienced a pretty normal childhood. I mean, yeah, it wasn't perfect. Like me and my dad had our, we didn't always see eye to eye, but it was nothing, there's always love, and it was divorce, but like who isn't divorced, right? Um, well, it's a huge percentage of people, right? So I didn't have like the actual experiences to back up what, like, I don't know how much you know about me, but things were fucked. Like I nearly died several times, and it's in the book. Um, it really is an actual miracle that I'm alive. Um, but yeah, live slash not a vegetable. But I'm not going to leave you hanging. Like basically, I had like a seizure. Just I know it's dark, but like you might like I just give you a little mini idea. I had a seizure when my friend had left his apartment. He's a soccer in U.S. But professional player, and I started having a seizure because I had like an addiction issue to Xanax or benzodiazepines, uh, Klonopin, or Xanax. Um, and I didn't have any, and I was getting, and the withdrawals can kill you. And I started having a seizure. but he forgot his shin guards, and yeah, it's I'm not gonna go into that, but like basically like it was like and then he like had to break down the doors to his bathroom. It was crazy. It was just pure divine intervention. Like he literally forgot his shin guards. He was late. He still called my name, and you know, like if that's not proof of God's existence, that plus like a million other stories, I don't know what it is. Like yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, basically what I'm seeing here, so my point in saying that is that you have these all square your south node, right? So now Pluto is south node. I like to use like wider orbs. Pluto, 12, we're talking like more like 11 degrees. Pluto square nodes, 11 degrees, like 11, like a little, like a tiny bit, like 11.05, I think. Like, okay, we can kind of get that one, but it's such an intense one. Or like I think the orbs for the nodes, for me, it's bigger, right? Like I'll go as high as you know, like 15 even, right? I don't know, 12, like what feels right for me. 15 feels a bit large, but like if it's like 12, 13, um, you know, it it definitely like I definitely want to look at it, right? Um, so yeah, you have what I have, right? And essentially and then also you add Saturn, which is like an exact not exact, but like it's like a 3 degree away from exact square, and then Mars, which is also a 3 degree three, well, more like yeah, two, like two, two and not even 2.5, nearly 2.5. Like so those are squaring the nodes, right? So with just that trio, that stellium, right? That's intense. Like that is super intense. So it could be the case that you did have like not like a horrible experience. Now the aspects do say otherwise, right? Because the moon is often the mother, the sun's often the father. Moon opposite, squaring Neptune, um, and the son, like the father one, I would imagine was difficult, or whoever that represents. Usually it's the father, right? Because it squares Mars, it squares Saturn, it squares all those, right? And it's on your north node, so it's like it's very like linked to the current picture. So there could be a situation where that parent is like a big part, like a representation metaphorically, or like potentially even just like physically, like actually like the karma with him is such a major part of your life. But I like to think more big picture, and how different people in our lives, parents, siblings, partners, whatsoever, whatever it may be, they are meant to reflect our karma, right? Like the karma they're trying to work with. So that's kind of how I see why we, potential, some of the reasons why we, you know, have certain parents. Now, so yeah, so that could totally be just like a lot of past life restriction, um, past life anger as well. It could even be like imprisonment, like that kind of energy, just feeling like completely restricted in your self-expression, to where you sort of had to give in to the status quo. And now in this lifetime, and of course, like when you're in that situation, you're not thinking about spiritual growth and emotional growth. You're just like, I need to fucking survive, whatever, right? So I think that, to me, that makes sense, and I'm excited to hear your experience. But you know, even if things are or were have been like were as in childhood dark for you in this lifetime, I think that the fact that you came in this lifetime with that past life trauma um would have kind of, because like if you come in this life with past life trauma and then you have like a difficult karmic relationship with one of the parents, it's just going to exasperate it. It's just going to like be a multiplier. So yeah. But yeah, with Mars squaring it, like I said, it can be like lots of unresolved anger. Um, it could be like literal like past life trauma of like physical abuse, even sexual abuse, and it's just tough, right? And like anger with or from others could really threaten your stability. And at the same time, there can be like a very deep hidden unconscious hidden anger at play, right? And um it's really important to find ways to kind of release that. Because Mars, it's making nice aspects. It's conjunct. I mean, yeah, it's part of this very dynamic. We'll get into that. Like this, because if I was like have my dream monitor where I can just like be filmed and just like, well, not filmed, but like where I could just like circle this, that'd be so cool. One day they'll make a program where I can just circle the where those those, it looks like four, but in the third house in Libra where those are. Um, yeah, it's just like it's like a zone of dark, dark, darkness, but it's also where the greatest growth can be found. So, um, yeah, so it's really important to refine that kind of will and that passion because you could have there could have been just like really like just dominated, and that dominance kind of pushing you away from your kind of getting you off track with your soul's intention for spiritual growth, right? In past lives. um Also, I think of like, yeah, like independence, right? Like, so an unmet karmic need for independence. So think about that in relationships. As a Pisces moon, you need alone time. You're such a sponge for energy that in you're in the eighth house, you're always evolving. So you need partnerships to understand that. I would definitely, I'm sure you, and yeah, and I'm going to do your compatibility after this, either tonight or tomorrow, depending on my energy levels. But yeah, overall, like the eighth house, moon, it's like very much like, I'm here to go through the death rebirth transformation. But also at the same time, Pisces can be very blind to the, it's like, the very roses, like it can be very, very rose colored glasses with people. And this is even more interesting because it's squaring Neptune, right? And so, and it's squaring Mercury, right? So that's really interesting. Which honestly, wait, that doesn't make any sense. What? No, it's, why is it saying that? There's no such thing as moon square Mercury. It can only move, um, like 29. Oh, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. No, no. I'm I'm thinking. I had a mind, blah blah blah. No, of course. Yeah, no. I was referring to the sun when I said that the sun cannot be far from Mercury, but the moon can, and I have like know a ton about this aspect. I don't know what got into me. What got into me? But yeah, so you have your moon squaring Mercury and then also squaring Neptune. So what does that mean? Well, moon square Neptune people, I say to every single one, especially in Pisces, which is so Neptune rules your moon. tons of confusion. It goes back to that identity crisis idea, not really like understanding, like the need to like kind of, the 12th house is a need for service, a need for spirituality, a need to go deep within yourself, and to help people, and hopefully to have a life where you're doing that with the North Node 12th house, right? But you know, overall, I look at this and I say, okay, well, already her moon's in Pisces, so she is a sponge of energy. She like already, without the square Neptune, she can take on negative emotions and think that they are hers when they're not, right? Especially from the mother with the Neptune one I'm about to talk about. But just in general, that can happen in partnerships, and it's so important for you to have your space and to understand, to really understand what your baseline energy is, and then to be able to like spend time with someone or in some environment, and then come back to your solace, like your alone time, and based on like let's say your alone time is like a 0, right? Like, not that's a 0, but like let's say like on a, like let's quantify it, right? Or okay, let's say that's the baseline level, 0, right? And there's like a -10 and a +10. So you go in a certain environment, you come back, you kind of like, the more you're in touch with your inner self, the more you know with the mindfulness. Let's say that you're around someone with a really good vibe, you really got on well with them. You come back and like, wow, I feel good, I feel energized, and you're like, okay, +4, and then you go back to your normal state, and so you can feel. But then let's say it's the opposite, where it's like someone with really bad vibe or an environment that's really really bad, because it's a moon, so it's unconscious, so it might not be so easy to see. And then you get back to your alone time, and then you all of a sudden, like, now that you're away from this environment, you feel relaxed and normal, and after some time, and then okay, you can tell a lot by that method, right? But okay, so with Moon square Mercury, right, there is a big time potential for it creates that kind of like the issue of cognitions versus cognitions Mercury versus emotions, right? It can make someone very indecisive, where their logic is saying one thing, but then their emotions are saying something else, and they can kind of go back and forth. Now, the sort of saving grace, and so the saving grace here is that they're both in water signs, right? If you look, you see 29-degree, like touching on my TV, but you can't see me doing that. But 29-degree Pisces moon, and then 5-degree, Mercury in the 12th house, it's by the sun. So those are both water. So that square is not going to be as difficult because they're both in the same element, but it still can create that energy. But yeah, but you're kind of saved by the fact that they're both in water. If, for example, your moon was at 24 or 20 Pisces, and then your Mercury was at like 20 Gemini, then that's a lot more difficult. But yeah. But then with the square with Neptune, that is like, I tell everyone this, and nearly everyone's like, oh my God. But it's just like you can hold on, so I know so many people with this, right? And I tell them this, and they all like kind of freak out, and I tell them like, look, like it's very important how you were raised, like the relationship you had with your with your, one second, like your early nurturing is of the utmost importance, um more than other people, because you're such an empath that you take in so much of you always have taken on so much of the energy of, around you, that a lot of people with that, they take on their mother. Usually it's the mother, right? Like if the mother was going through like a difficult time, especially like, around the time you were born, in the formative years developmentally, um, they can take that as like for themselves, right? Like they can like um kind of like almost like feel a certain amount of like guilt or a certain amount of blame and take on the mother's negative emotions. I've seen it so many times. It's to the point where it's like automatic, Like it's like I've seen it so many times. So yeah, that is important to know. I always ask people with this, what are you holding on to, or like what are you like what's not yours? What is not yours? And it's very unconscious. I've had, like I said, I've had so many clients where it's like a bit either it is when I told them, or it was when I told them, or like they came to that revelation on their own before, but like, they like you also have to like really, really watch out for like, being deceived, and just take your time with things. Um, with relationships, we'll get into that compatibility, but it's really important to have that person that you kind of like know for sure, you can like trust 1,000,000%, and who is super down for growth, who's super down for evolution, basically, like I always tell people this, it's hard to find spiritual men in this world who are straight. um but at least like someone who can respect it, someone who can who doesn't get in the way of that north node journey, right? So yeah. Now, um with some of the other stuff, right? For example, like, I mean, having a 29-degree moon by itself, it's like you are almost like a master of that energy, right? um so that's like the master mystic. But you're trying to kind of like, it's very, there's a lot of fate that plays into your life, and especially your relationship life, right? um and hmm, hmm, yeah, I guess nine, yeah, it's like nearly 10 degrees. It's not really gonna be like a square, but yeah. It's just really important to not like allow yourself to get like tricked, and to take things really slowly, and just know that people who have this, they do have that tendency to sort of have the rose colored glasses. And yeah, I mean, like, awareness is step one, right? Awareness is step one. And after that, you're able to kind of like have like, it's good to have like a more like earth kind of like, balance. Not that you're imbalanced, just, just some like some like a friend, a BFF who, and I'm saying this to you, like I know that you're in that, I forget if you're married, or I have it written down, but I forget if it's marriage or a serious relationship. I know. I'm just telling you this because this is the chart. I read. I prefer not to know anything about the clients going in, but like in this case, of course, since you got the other reading, I do know that, and it's good that like that you got the other reading. Um, but I'm still telling you how I would say it if I didn't know you were in a relationship, right? Um, so yeah. Um, that aside, you've got um, so the sun with all those squares, right? Um, there's lots of issues, probably issues around the father, but just around like how you feel, like that 12th house sun, like if it leans into service, right? into a life of service, into a life of helping others, and that can mean a lot of different things, right? That's the ultimate like just like that is like what heals it, or just a life of like deep spirituality, like where because like yeah, I mean, like the sun not only is in the 12th, but it's a chart ruler, so you could be a very behind the scenes type of person. You can be someone who I just lost the Wi-Fi. I've had to use my hotspot. I mean, I'm not laughing because it sucks, but um, like there's nothing wrong with my Wi-Fi. It just does not connect with my computer. Like ever since I got back from America. So like for like readings, I've been having to use my hotspot, and sometimes well, a lot of times it just stops working. Um, but anyways, where am I time-wise? Oh, for some reason time goes slow when I do these like projected. But yeah, I'm gonna get it set up over here. Annoying that whatever. Okay, anyways, so as I was telling you, and yeah, so as I was telling you, all those hard aspects, it's tough. The moon, like you're here, it goes well with the sun, Cancer, Pisces, like, the parents probably had like had slash have whatever, at least an understanding, or maybe like a worldview that is more similar, right? But at the same time, where am I? Okay, so now I'm on camera. Okay, that's cool. At the same time, like, two parents like can have the same worldviews, but not necessarily be. But usually when I see like sun, trine moon, right? Even yeah, like 10 degrees, but with the sun and moon, it's more about the elements, you know. It usually refers to the overall like messaging. If you have to like write down like one paragraph, or like one page, like I did this in my book. Um, by the way, it was very very interesting exercise advice to myself, like to kind of like write down like what the main teachings were unconsciously, consciously, just like what I gained from each parent. I'm very different than all of them, but there's still things I took in. So with the sun, trine, moon, both being in water, it's likely that they'd be more similar. With that said, the aspects, like, I mean, they're like just with the 12th house sun, and then the moon Pisces, and the 8th house square Neptune, and the 5th, you know, like if you were to tell me like I'm adopted, which I'm not predicting that, by the way. But like I'd be like, okay, it makes sense, right? Um, but if you know, made me guess, is she adopted? I would say no, right? So yeah, this is so weird. Like it just like to like have myself on my like yeah, the TV thing. I accidentally just shared my, because I was like looking at my notes, which is like my whole client list. I thought I accidentally just shared that, but then I was like, no, it was just on my TV because my TV is projecting everything. Um, but it doesn't let me full screen the chart on my TV, which is really annoying. But anyways, whatever. So with the you know, the the moon in the Mercury, right? I pretty much like like, there can be a tendency to just like too much of the pros and cons weighing those out, so there's that need to to learn that kind of compromise between emotions and cognitions. But like I said, it's easier, and it comes from that deep, that deep spiritual relationship with yourself. Now, being someone who has all these malefics square the sun in the 12th, but then a Jupiter on the IC in Scorpio, it's tough for me to, which is 2 degrees in fifth. Yeah, I mean, like, it's tough for me to say like your childhood was horrible, but at the same time, like, definitely some past life trauma that you brought in. Now, the Sun square Mars, right? That's just someone who can be like, even as a Cancer Sun in 12th house, there can be some level of self-sabotage and just like being prone to accidents and impulsive. Um, and Sun square Mars, people sometimes can have anger issues, and it's the 12th house and come from a very like hidden place. And because it's with the square of the nodes too, it's literally that thing I was saying before, that it's karmic, right? So it's really important to lean into to like the energy of Mars in Libra, right, which is about diplomacy and tact. um so Mars in Libra is another big indicator of indecisiveness. But if you can find the higher energy of it, you can become someone who's very diplomatic, who's very good at seeing both sides of a story, and like the healer, the counselor. But it's lowest someone who just like can be a people pleaser and who lacks boundaries. And when you have Pisces and Libra in your big six, Pisces can lack energetic boundaries, right? And then Libra can people please, and they want balance at all costs. So they'll put other people over themselves at times. But with that said, it's a supercharged. It was very interesting Mars because it has on one side Saturn, on the other side Pluto. Of course, Saturn is closer, but they're both definitely playing a role. And then yeah, and then that's it for the aspects for Saturn. Let me just double check. Besides the square the nodes, of course. Yeah. Well, actually, I need to look at something real quick because so yeah. Anyways, so there's big time potential. For like, for example, like with the Saturn square Sun. There's big time potential to have felt very restricted growing up. A lot of times people with that, they have like a really strict father, and you know, it's just like difficult, right? Um, so yeah. And then it's in the third house, so it is what? Yeah. That's about your intellect, right? And we look at other parts of your chart, very deep person, 8th house, moon, Pisces 20 degrees. Mercury obviously is, it has a very nice trine Jupiter, and it's in a 12th. So, you could have been, you're able to find this like with the Jupiter and IC, you have all these indicators of someone who is able to find like during the most despairing of times, a deep well of optimism, to bring them back up during those times. And it opens up kind of the gates to the unconscious and the gates to everything esoteric. And I see as your bloodline having Jupiter there with all those difficult karmic aspects. It could literally be that you're the one who's meant to kind of, and it's in Scorpio, so it's the investigator, right? It's the psychologist, the person who wants to probe deep. So you could be someone who's meant to probe deep into your ancestry, into different what do you call them? Different toxic cycles that have been passed on from generation to generation. You know what I'm saying? So then, with going back to the third house, third house is the mind's communication, it's siblings also. So there could be something going on with siblings. But overall, it's also your early, get it ready, and I'll do it. Get it ready. So it's also like your early kind of childhood, like schooling and all that, like early environment growing up. So with all those malefics there, there's a high chance that you went through some type of, it could be bullying, you know, not necessarily. It could just be like difficulty with respect to the siblings. But at the end, the result is that it created that, that Chiron is on algal, but I can't think of what Chiron and algal would create. But regardless, like your voice, it's about your voice. It's about finding your authentic voice. It's about finding your finding that throat chakra, and it's shut because of, like, most likely the father. It's shut, and the Saturn return is so important when you went through that, to reopening that, right? Reopening, or opening that, right? Finding your authentic voice. And with the South Node in, the karmic tendency being in Capricorn, sixth house, there is that potential to, like I wrote an article, are you stuck in your South Node? So being stuck in your South Node in this case would be kind of like really, really in like the away from the spiritual world, like very, very much in like the work, kind of corporate, kind of, not saying that like if you do have a corporate job that's bad. I'm just saying that, like, it'd be like an obsession with kind of like all things mainstream, all things what's the word that I'm thinking of that's not matrixy? You get what I'm saying? Like, very like status quo, right? So basically, it's a very feminine journey, and feminine journeys require going deep into the soul. Now, the third house Pluto, ready? Is it ready? I will in a sec when it's ready. I'm not pausing it for that long. Okay, 1 second. All right, we're back. What's happening with the camera? Oh, what's going on? It like froze, and now it's not letting me turn it back on. Let's try this. There we go. There we are. Okay. So back to the chart. I had to help my girlfriend with something. Medical. So basically, yeah, like having that square is very difficult. And it can make one really feel like they're just like going in like circles, and like just like really like loss of identity, and unless the identity is tied to, service, compassion, something that really makes that Pisces moon feel alive, which, Pisces moons have an emotional need for, you know, I mean, they're just sweethearts, they're just like naturally just like spiritual, mystical, crown chakra, like open. And then they have a need for, for spirituality, and for sensitivity and also creativity, right? It's very creative and boundlessness, right? So Pisces rules the imagination. So, a Pisces who is in a position where they're unable to dream is like a Pisces who has their wings cut off, Pisces moon, right? So that's really important. So yeah, so going back to the sun, right? Um, I think that there's a big need to kind of find like a physical outlet. Like that could be like one of the saving graces in your chart, could be like a physical outlet, like a physical energetic outlet. Um, that can really get rid of a lot of this really difficult, like kind of like yeah, tense energy, especially with the sun square Pluto, right? So that's a big one. Sun square um, Saturn and sun square Pluto, two of the more difficult aspects in astrology. So a sun in the 12th house, like it can be, there can be lots of parts of that person's personality that can be very repressed, right? When they grew up, they could feel like their energy was not like that strong, and they could have a lot of difficulty with self-expression. In the Saturn square, if there was like, especially there's like a lot of criticism, expectation, perfectionism, even as the Leo rising, right? Um, it can create someone who's quite shy and who kind of just first 30 years once again, very, very, very Capricornian chart, right? Very Saturnian chart over here. Lots of kind of restrictions, right? Like lots of like things that come up that you're just like, what the fuck, like so that's very hard. And to have it, to be born at a time when the Mars, Pluto, Saturn conjunction in Libra just on its own is just like this person is like, they're here to face darkness, they're here to face restriction. They're here to go through some really intense experiences. They're very, very karmic. But they're really 1,000,000,000% here. Like, it's interesting, like, because like it might sound, I know it doesn't, but like it might sound like, okay, you're saying this, but well, look, like my mom had a friend, right, and I actually did her friend's chart, but I never did like we never scheduled like the follow up. Usually, what people do, which I'll invite you to do this as well. I think you have the follow up, right? Um, no, we already talked about all this. Yeah, you got both. Yeah, never mind. Okay, it all came back to me. We just talked about the other night. Yeah. So yeah, like people do like the current astrology. So anyways, so she was talking to me, but my mom had some like kind of like I don't even, not problems, but it's just like confusion with this person. And I relooked at her chart because like I forget the charts after I do so many of them, right? Like how am I gonna remember a chart from 3 months ago, right? And I just saw all these difficult aspects, right? And I realized like this person has like exactly the chart that some of my clients have, but the difference was that a lot of my clients have started their spiritual journey, right? And she was clearly manifesting like the lower, from what my mom said, like manifestations of these different placements. So with Saturn, yeah. So I just want to kind of add that in there, right? So with Sun Square Saturn, right, it's just all about tests and challenges. You have to really overcome a lot, and it does usually like the father is usually very critical, and it makes a lot of the times the person hard on themselves, which is shown by the Chiron in Taurus, which can make you kind of like doubt your self-worth, and in the 10th house, like, whether you can kind of make it career-wise. So yeah, like it's not easy being cheesy. No. It is difficult, and so yeah, you have to watch out for that self-criticism, and what can happen. So with this, right, when there's a poor when there's a potential poor self-image, right? Remember, this is all potentials. You've been through your Saturn returns. We know that you've gone through a lot of these early hard lessons. They can go for really, really dark relationships. And with that Pisces Libra combination in your chart, not value yourself enough and not have like a clear enough idea of who you are, to give you confidence, to give you self-esteem, to say no, and to like to have like good boundaries, to like sometimes the shadow can just be like keep the relationship alive at all costs, even if it like costs you your dignity. But so many people start, like famous people have this, like very, very successful or famous people have this aspect where they're forced to grow up really quickly, struggle, but everything with Saturn gets better with age. So you are it's a late bloomer. And what happens is after the Saturn return, you still have all that determination, that grit that you had to like earn when you had all those difficult karmic circumstances coming up. But then all of the different, all those like karmic circumstances go away. And you're just like, oh, you know, like, ooh, you know? So that is some of the beauty there. Now, um, you know, I want to reemphasize the fact of like kind of like the working behind the scenes nature of the 12th house. And just like how it also speaks to someone who could be afraid of showing themselves, but really it is you know it's really important to understand like what your self-defeating patterns are, and also self-sacrifice can play a large part into your life purpose. So um mm, yeah, it's really all about those like moments of like of deep reflection, quiet time. So in a relationship, did I already say this? I don't think I did. Like I wrote a post declaring relationship like probably 10 days old, something like that. Like if you didn't read that, I would definitely read that from what I'm seeing so far. Um, but the thing with Cancer, yeah, and there's lots of healing from like those that deep self-reflection, right? And with your 12th house, Mercury, and it makes you very, these also both make you very, very connected with the psychic world, right? Um, but Mercury 12th house, it can make it difficult for you to know what thought is yours and what thought is someone else's. So you need that alone time. But it also gives like an amazingly strong imagination. And yeah, like especially when there's like a big group of people, it's really tough to know what's yours with someone else who's been in relationships too. So but yeah, very like strong potential for psychic abilities. Um and Mercury and Cancer, they communicate in very and like I said, it's trine Jupiter. It's really, really nice. Like what's interesting, it's like the bloodline. Like you might have like a real deep interest in, no, as in not right now, in like really studying the bloodline and kind of things about your family. But like they have a very they communicate through their emotions, right? Moon rules Mercury, and it also squares it. So that's a head scratcher, right? The moon is ruled by or the Mercury is ruled by the moon, Cancer, and the moon in Pisces. Yeah, it's in the same. It's that square that I talked about before, which they're in the same. It's like 29 to 5, so it's like barely a square, but still, yeah. I don't even know if I would count that, to be honest. Like, yeah, probably not. Like barely. Maybe just like the indecisive bit, which would go the Mars. Um, but yeah, just like being like communicating very communicating in a very emotional way. Um, yeah, and like being able to like really like literally communicate with the other side. Um, yeah, I've seen lots of like very intuitive or even psychic people who have Mercury in the 12th house, and it's in a water sign. So yeah, Cancers, obviously, you know that like the shadow of Cancer is crawling is once they're hurt, they crawl into the shell. 12th house, when the shadows of the 12th house is escapism, and that's also when the shadows of Pisces is running away from reality. Um, kind of creating like a disillusion. What happened to my camera? I'm gonna unplug this. Okay, I'm sorry that was frozen for a while. I'm gonna message you right now and tell you it wasn't that long. All right, all right. You should be right. Yeah. Hey, okay, awesome. I'm gonna read that in a little bit. I'm finishing up your nail reading right now. I'm actually like saying this to you as I'm recording. I just want to let you know that there was like a part probably around like an hour in where my camera froze, and it might appear as though it's like that for the whole video, but it was only like that for like, my guess is like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm not sure because I wasn't looking at it, but it just froze. It was weird. So just telling you, um, and doing that now, or nearly done. No, yeah, it's been an amazing reading. So getting back to it, I need to add in your notes to read your IG conversation. Compatibility. Uh, so that's good. Okay, cool. Have that in there now. So yeah, then Sun Square Pluto. Now this is very intense. So Pluto, God, I mean, in the third house, right? Pluto, you are meant to really, really probe deep because of that kind of past life conditioning and being told what to believe, being told what's important. In this life, it's like, no, I'm the investigator. Like I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go find truth for myself, right? Um, you have a ninth house has part of fortune in it, and it's ruled by Mars, right? So, which is conjunct Pluto. So, it's kind of a gung ho attitude towards like going out and finding the philosophy that you vibe with. So there could be like, if you get any like unconscious reactions related to like if anything's like try like if people like if anyone tries to push anything on you, like you're an investigator, you know, and you could have like a strong karmic reaction to anyone trying to do that. But I was just saying actually like go reverse because I didn't finish my thing about Mercury, so I'll get right back to this in a sec. But just so I'm clear with that, that the Mercury trine Jupiter aspect is really, really good for having a very philosophical, like big picture outlook. And it is really good for being able to talk to people from all walks of life, and it's very good for intelligence and intellectual curiosity, intellectual flexibility, and you know, just optimism. It gives your thoughts a sort of optimism, and it's great. It's a great. Yeah. It's very philosophical. It's a nice aspect to have. So even though your Mercury is in the Cancer, it can feel kind of like Cancer slash a little hint of Sagittarius. That's nice. So, um, yeah, yeah. So I think that, you know, when we speak about just the square of the Cancer, you know, like I said, it can crawl in the shell. There's lots of indications of that. Like if you're hurt, not being able to trust, you know, maybe it's something you went through, escapism, addiction, big potential, right? When you're that sensitive. I'm not saying that that is like some like addiction literally is linked to um unresolved trauma. You know, I know a lot about addiction, and like yeah, like people say it, like yeah, it is a disease, but like um you know, when you truly get to the core of things and do the work, uh I think that anyone can. I think some people are more prone to kind of like it depends. I'm not gonna get into that whole debate, but yeah, the people are more prone to it. But I think that um like I would never like see someone's trying to be like you are an addict, you know, or like your odds for addiction are so high. I mean, yeah, but just escapism can mean many different things. You know, it could be like through shopping or through just lying about your reality, lying about your relationship, lying about your life, and about, you know, like fooling yourself. And then the Cancer one can be more about just like hiding, being in isolation. So yeah, basically that square, you know, with Pluto is all about power. Like I was saying, like the third house Pluto, they need to go out in the world. There can be power struggles with siblings, but they need to find like the truth for themselves, because in past lives they relied on something else and it wasn't correct. And yeah, like overall, you know, it can make someone a very powerful communicator, especially after Saturn return with the Mars and the Saturn. A deep thinker, someone who probes deep into the most interesting things for them, things that are most interesting to them. They can get very obsessed, um, obsessive mind, which can be good and bad. Um, but yeah, because Pisces sometimes can be overthinkers, right? So that's another thing, and the square with Neptune also can just like with your Moon and Neptune, it can make you really like see reality in a way that's not that's like it's like wrong. It's like it takes a high level of spirituality um to get to a point to, like it's almost like there's like this lens that people who have that can have reality that's like flawed. It's like a filtered glass in a church that you can see it through. So the more spiritual work you do, the easier it gets, and the more it can become a superpower, right? Which Moon and Neptune together, it's like high spirituality. high imagination, just unbelievable imagination, being able to have their emotional life reflected through that. Or yeah, like really connect the two, the emotions and imagination. But sometimes they can be like, yeah, they can just like just see things and it's like that's not the truth, like that's not the reality of like how things really are. And it's because of that thought. But yeah. So yeah, Sun Square Pluto, super intense. And it's all about control. Pluto is the part of us that um you know it's our like where there's darkness that we need to go into to find the greatest treasures and transform them into our greatest like gifts, right? So you have North Node in the 12th house in Cancer. So I talked about that. Third house, Pluto, conjunct all these other planets, Mars and stuff. So there's a big Mars conjunctive gives like a big push there. But Mars, Pluto people, they need a physical outlet, or they can get really just like they have too much energy. It's more difficult with the square, but when you get into something, you get into it, right? Especially when it's like something related to like communication or learning. But yeah, control and power. These are very important things. Your Black Moon Lilith is in Capricorn too. So you at your lowest vibration could be someone who steps over other people to get the positions that you want in the world. But integrated, you can be someone who is filled with honor, who has understood that real power comes from within, and it comes through these journeys into the underworld, into the darker side of life, into your own shadow, right? Um, right. So it's really important um, to learn to let go and to learn to surrender. And a lot of times it can be with like the father, once again, it's the son, or just like authority figures, influential people in general. Um, but it's there to make it's there to get you to evolve. That's why you have this aspect, right? So like the tendency can be to like just like want to like probe, control, dominate, right? And there can be like a fear of abandonment. Um, you know, the Pluto, it could have created, which is interesting, it's 12th house, like a father who, um, you know, could have been just really hard on you. There could be some trauma there for sure. Um, so yeah, but it also makes someone take like like kind of like like another one where someone will take lots of risks potentially, right? Like whether it's sex, addiction, just any like but like it happens, but then it ends up like leading them into um you know uh like it's life experiences that lead you into transformation long term. So the big need is to let go. You need to be in control. Look at any potential abandonment issues, um, and yeah, I think that's pretty much like what I would say about that one. Yeah, there's not like also like being able to like channel all this into hard work, but hard work that's like linked to like you and your highest self, and your highest desires. Um, and like with all the others to the black and Lilith, like it's good to be ambitious, right? You have that naturally, but not to the point to where you're so concerned with like the competition, that you're like you know what I mean, like overly competitive. It's like it goes with the Libra placements that are trying to teach you in this lifetime. You're trying to learn to be diplomatic. You're trying to learn to see from the other person's side of view or point of view. So yeah. So aside from that, the moon, you know, with Neptune, it's it can make someone very like they just feel the kind of undercurrent and just like the pain of the world so deeply that they can sometimes shut off. And yeah, like lots of confusion can enter relationships. So there's a real need to like organize like your way of communicating, like and have a partner that is open to that, right? Um, so I think that the main challenge is just like, yeah, it's like this discrimination between like reality and not reality, you know? Um, so like intuition and imagination, right? Um, so and yeah, the emotions can be very kind of volatile and clouded, right? And a lot of times, if the person hasn't done enough inner work, and it can be clouded by like their own personal bias, what's it called? Biases. Um, and yeah, so I think that's yeah, I pretty much said a lot about that one already. Um, Oh yeah, and then Pisces moon 20 degrees also there can just in general like there can be difficulty like the eighth house moon like is here to transform. It's here to die and to be reborn, right? But there can be some difficulties with sharing emotions and with just really letting it out. Um you know um a lot of times people who have this, especially with a Pisces moon, like didn't get their emotional needs met when they were growing up by the mother. Um, so yeah, just like the way to work with it once again is like it's using like creative outlet, using that imagination, like meditating and get understanding what's third eye, what's intuition, what biases you have, what like therapy is really good, like good therapy, which I do, by the way. I do astrological therapy if you're interested. I have packages of that, and I have room for one more person. But yeah, just like understanding like the potential self-limiting beliefs, the potential biases that would lead to seeing a situation and judging it wrong. So yeah, and also just like understanding like yeah, like really like understanding who you are, right? So like kind of defining that. So okay, so then you also have Lilith square moon. So that one's really interesting. Um, what I take from that is just that it is very like kind of like witchy, like creative magician, witchy. But it also adds like this like what's the word? yeah, this real primal kind of energy, especially with like the Sun square Mars, like um, it can make one quite erratic in their reactions. So it's, you know, I think that it can make one's emotional life feel quite erratic, and that they need to stay grounded, right? They need to like have, because there's, yeah, like these very like kind of primal primitive urges that can kind of pull the person in like toxic situations. They're dangerous if you're not conscious of your own shadow. So so much of the, like, I'm gonna name this reading like shadow work, a life of spirituality. Like, I don't know, it's like, it's just such a like beautiful chart. Like, you're in the right place, you're doing the right thing. um so um it's really good for intuition, though. Also intuition, like in respect to danger, like that real primal kind. Um, so a key, it goes back to that karmic stuff, is like transmuting feelings of like sadness or rage, and or like behaviors, like any addictions, or like you know, chasing relationships where with South Node, where you can be um like like um almost parenting the other person, like things like that, like really like just transmuting these tendencies. And yeah, it's all about emotional liberation from anything from the past. And you can be someone who can hold on to grudges for quite a long time, never forget. um but it's also another one that's like, like fucking dangerous, like, and not like, it's just like, don't take so many risks, because like people of this, like, they can be impulsive and just like, yeah. And also they can fear the power of their own emotions. So yeah, like lots of issues around vulnerability typically, and sharing with their partner. So that goes into that. Okay, so as yeah, your moon also does trine Uranus. That's an amazing one. That adds, makes you like this very like kind of ingenious, like unique person. Very, very all about freedom of just freedom in general. Um, Unconventional, and it's a trine, so it is there's it's just like giving you also like more intuitive like antennas. And yeah, so okay, so Venus, it's in Gemini in the 11th. So groups of friends, or just like organizations, group of people like that, you really feel you track them very easily, like friends, and just like groups that you're meant to be a part of, and you have very good relationships in them. And Venus and Gemini, you could meet someone in that kind of like, let's say like you're human, very like you're working, like you join some organization that's like or you're working towards something like a goal that's like very like big picture, very niche niche. um just felt pen. You could be someone who meets someone like through your life work, um romantically, but that's not like a huge thing, right? I just think that it definitely, it's good for wealth too. And Venus and Gemini, you value media. Every Venus and Gemini I know loves to read, loves They usually love movies, and they need a partner that they can communicate with. Um, that's a big one, right? So that's huge. And Venus and Gemini, they get a bad rep as being like the sluts of the zodiac, but like they're just curious, Venus and Gemini are just curious, and Venus is not like, it's important, of course. But actually, let me put this on here. I like to have a basketball on the TV, just like in the background, so I can check the score. But like the playoffs, I'm a basketball fan. The games haven't even started yet, but I just want to have it ready for when they do start. But yeah, so Venus and Gemini, like it's funny, like I'll talk to people who have that, and it's like they'll be like, I didn't even know I was flirting, and the other person's like, it's like like they could like date someone just out of curiosity, you know, just because they're like interested in that person intellectually. Um, but yeah, there's that need for the intellectual relationships, like big time. Is my camera not working again? Oh my God. I don't think it was that long because I think I would have noticed the light. What is up with this thing? It's so weird. I turned it off. I know I just turned it off now. I just pushed it. Maybe I just fixed it now. Okay. Well, anyways, so yeah. Also like a big thing with the Venus, and it has very good aspect. Oh, it's opposite Neptune. But it does have a nice trine with Mars and a trine with Saturn. So the opposite and a trine with Pluto. So it has nice three trines, excuse me, and one opposition. Which actually Venus, let's track it. So yeah, it has wait a second. Yeah. So why am I Oh, I see. It's because it trines all of like that stellium in Libra. That's why. I was like, there's no grand trine. No. But yeah, because if the oppose. Yeah. Um, you know, um you don't use the asteroids in aspect patterns. If you did, you'd have a kite pattern with Vesta. Um Vesta, Venus, and then like Mars slash Pluto slash Saturn. But because it's not, a planet, it's not like it's an asteroid, but it's not reflecting that. But yeah, um, that doesn't exist. Um, but you let me see this though. Um, nope. Okay. I was like, why? Yeah. So okay, how do I break this down? Basically, Venus is getting a big boost from all of the Libra planets. Um, Venus and Mars is very good for relationships. High sex drive usually. Um, being able to balance like intimacy with independence, just super important. Um, what else? Just like it's a good energy for relationships. It makes you like fun, loyal. Um, but sometimes people sometimes people with that, like trines, sometimes they can be like skilled. So it's very, very creative, and really good for like relating to other people, like in the sense of like a counselor, like business person, whatever. And it's Mars and Libra, right? So you understand that other person's perspective. But you can take trines for granted, right? So you might be someone who takes your creative gifts for granted. And then we'll just go over the trines. Saturn and Venus, come on. I mean, that is like literally like someone who is literally like made for long-term relationships. Like they have the glue, like they're very responsible, and it's also very good for self-love. Very, very stable, and they want a partner that's all, that's going to be stable and provide like solid foundations. It's good for money too. Venus rules how we spend, and Saturn, it's really, really good for business, and having that stability, and forming good business partnerships. That's like one of the best placements for that. And even like organizing like social occasions, right? Like or just like nights out, or just like anything fun, vacations, right? Like pleasurable pastimes, like being able to kind of like be someone who like, and even with your own creativity, right? Someone who can like organize their own creativity, and make like what they do as their creative outlet, like the thing that pays, that can be something that you know makes them money, or is their job. So yeah, very, 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 very loyal and dependable partner. Now with the trine with Pluto, um, when you have Venus and Pluto trine, and what degree, or how many degrees? So the closest one was Mars, then it's Pluto, then it's Saturn, but they're all close. So that is um someone who's very committed, and who has the ability to like truly transform themselves and make the changes that they need to make for the sake of a relationship with someone that they really love. Um, like any changes demanded within that relationship that they actually value, they're able to make them, and they're able to be very committed. And they're able to also fight for what they believe in, um like in terms of causes, and you know it's kind of like a very soulmatey, like very like kind of two souls becoming one energy, but not in a clingy way. It's just like the real ability to join forces with someone romantically, and like join, and have like this real depth. But then the question is like, who are, and this leads me to the square with Neptune. Is it the right people you're choosing? So with that said, Venus square Neptune is the ultimate. So you already have, well, actually, so it's not, so it should be a T square. Um, you have 29-degree Pisces moon, 25-degree Neptune, right? So that's the square. That's 4 degrees away, nearly 5. It's like 29.42. And then that 25-degree Neptune, which is conjunct vertex, ooh, is opposite Venus at 20 degrees. And to be a T-square, which I'm gonna like kind of give you the T-square download anyways. You know, the Venus and the moon are like they're like 9.5 degrees away, right? Which is a little too far. But regardless, what I'm gonna say is that Venus opposite Neptune, it goes back to the rose-colored glasses in love. It is the ultimate, just like, oh, my camera's turned off. Okay, I'm gonna pay like close attention to that. So yeah, discernment can be really difficult in relationships, and lacking boundaries, all the stuff I already talked about. So it's just like kind of like a double, like this happens in all my, like when God's trying to like explain something in someone's chart, uh, they're putting in different ways, right? And I'm all about finding patterns. So this is a pattern right here. So yeah, like there's that lack of discernment, and those rose-colored glasses potentially, right? Just potentially, and that also that potential to just jump into things too fast, fans, and have like that kind of Disney, like romantic comedy, like all those ideas of like what a relationship should be stuck in your head, and then it can also make one so you have to really watch out for just in general being deceived by others who seem to really be true. Um, but then sometimes it can go the other way, and this person can be the person who's the deceiver, right? But usually it's not my clients because they're yeah. Um, but yeah, just a big need with this one to find a creative outlet for this unreal imagination, right? Now with the love, um, the Venus and Gemini, it thinks of like, greener pastures sometimes, right? And it can get very bored. So it needs a really exciting person, um, or it will get bored. But then you also need a really stable person. Okay, so Mars, we talked about that conjunction with Saturn, or we didn't like. So Mars and Saturn, so many of the most successful people who I read um have had that, and not just people I read, just people like I know or I don't know, I just know of them, celebrities and stuff. So yes, the first 3 years challenging as fuck, but and yes, it can feel very hard to like express your energy fully, right? Especially like Mars and Libra can be so back and forth and wishy-washy at times. Um, so it can feel very, very frustrating, right? But the goal, I forgot that. This is the last thing. I'll finish this and I'll go to that. The goal is to lean into that Aries energy, which your part of fortune, which represents you at your flow state, is there in the ninth house. And that's like the opposite sign, the polarity point of all of this Libra, this Mars, right? Because you can feel very held back. It makes you very ambitious, right? And you can slowly but surely like reach your goals, and after Saturn return usually takes off. Um, but yeah, you're able to like have like really, really good self-discipline, organize, like be a great leader, organize yourself and other and people like a team, or very good for that. Now, so yeah, it's nice, but for the first 3 years, you can feel like held back, like obstacles. You take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, um, and yeah. So once again, Mars and Libras, they need that creative outlet, and they need to like find that Aries energy, that powerful like just like warrior energy, what you have in your chart. Some of these energies like in aspects, right, of just like being impulsive, but it's about like doing it in like a way where you really, really mean it, because that's the ninth house. It's about meaning, it's about truth. So when you have that Aries firepower, you're in your flow state, in your best greatest joy, when you are headed like on adventures, you know, when you are just like taking risks when it comes to like strengthening your level of belief about the world. Um, so, and just like about like what, like just like truth and the ideologies in general. So, yeah, basically, mm, 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 yeah, very, very karmic relationships. And you know, just that fifth house having all those energies in there, like, you know, like if you're not like you are very like, there's no way you're not like super artistic. If you're not like, it could be because of that 12th house energy, which can like make be the house of repressed energies. And I would like tell you like to take that creative risk on yourself, right? But with Uranus there, and then vertex conjunct Neptune, that's big time. That means that, well, it means a lot of things. It means that um by being like your doorway to higher awareness and lots of fate comes through like the mix of what I am, Pisces and Leo and Sag. So interesting. Um, which is literally like it's literally about inner child and allowing yourself to just be, and it could even be like through kids, right? Through children that a lot of this awareness comes, like physical children, but also allowing yourself to really be that, because you know maybe you weren't able to be like that growing up. And then so in yeah, and then also there's like, it goes back to that you know, being Neptune in the fifth house is, you know, very much linked to, and then with the vertex and Sag, it's like that, it's like the doorway to higher awareness is through your creativity, and how your creativity helps you get closer to your idea of truth. And creativity can mean lots of different things, right? But it's good for you to have like a gung-ho independent attitude towards that. Um and yeah. So Neptune the fifth makes someone super spiritual, where they can literally create through their intuitions. Um, and they, with Uranus there can be like kind of like unusual hobbies you might have. Excuse me, it's just outside my nose. I'm not picking my nose. But it's 0 degrees too, so it's like interesting, right? Because it is um yeah, so you know, you are really, really, there's lots of trial and error and lots of kind of like new energy when it comes to you. And your you and your, I guess you could say, individualism, you and your ideals, you and how you want to represent yourself. So with all these in the fifth, and then Juno there too, Vertex, your doorway to higher awareness is through traveling through different cultures, like, and that's their part of fortune is the ninth house. Also, I didn't really mention the traveling aspect, but just like adventures, you know, and just like taking risks with respect to truth. And finding people with different philosophies, and just like taking them in, all that. Um, so with that said, you know, it's through fun and through children and through your inner child that your doorway to higher awareness exists. And the sign Sagittarius could be a sign where, you know, you like in times of needs in times of deep need, which is interesting because I'm a Sag moon, I'm conjunct your vertex my moon. So I don't know if I'm representing this. People with the sign Sag will kind of just pop in and give you what you need to hear. So is Sag or just like very strong Mercury people, right? So I'm looking for one thing. Yeah, so it's really like I said, really in those times of crisis or just times where you really need it, that the Sagittarians will come in and give you that teaching, that ability, or not that ability, like really like open up doors, right? That will make and things like to higher awareness and consciousness. So okay, very yeah. So like um the hobbies could that you might have could be, very unconventional, very eccentric. It can give you very eccentric and unconventional children too. Um, Sometimes people with Neptune the fifth have to make some type of sacrifice for children or for lovers. It can be like a karmic thing. They have to do that before they're able to create. Um, but overall, it just gives like I said, a super strong artistic nature, and your Pisces fucking moon with a Cancer sun. Like, come on. My only like thought would be like in a Libra Mars, and then a Leo rising, which I barely mentioned, which gives you that flair, and that fire that you really need. Fixed fire, Leo rising is like we are able to, it makes the sun sign, the house of the sun, and the sign that like what our sun's super important because it rules our chart. It's the only ascendant where the sun rules our chart. So the 12th house domain, is so important. And maybe like literally like if you created art that was your like kind of like representative of like your intuitive feeling of like the zeitgeist, like the energy of the times, like I swear, like it's never too late to start if you haven't already. But like you have like I'm gonna look at the asteroids in a sec, but it's just like it's everywhere. I don't say it that often. I don't say it just like to say it, Okay. So then of course, yeah, and then of course, um yeah, and then Mars conjunct Pluto. Once again, like you are a that gives you just like it's just like it's like a freaking ball of just like the most dense like power and just determined, like just like you open it and unleash like ooh, that's what it is. But it can be a lot of energy, super resourceful, um and you just have this pool of enormous energy that you can pull from it, and like when needed, right? um but it can also, like I said, you need that create that that physical, not just creative, physical and creative outlet, because it can give a volcanic temper even in Libra. And a Libra Mars does not like to disrupt the peace, right? So it will dim that a little bit. But it's also super sexual. super sexual. Mars and it's a conjunction, so they fuse together. So it will make someone very, very sexual, and really just once again wanting to probe deep, deep, deep into the underworld, not underworld, but just underworld slash just like esoteric, just anything that's unknown, the underground, and that goes with your Jupiter, in Scorpio, 0 degrees too. You are on a new karmic quest for truth, right? And this is, like Jupiter and Scorpio, everything is like related to Scorpio becomes bigger, and it's in fourth house, right? So fourth house Jupiters love large homes, love large families, um, and they live according to like their philosophical beliefs, and you know, they could be like really like to kind of like find meaning from within their home, which makes total sense with you being the 12th house Cancer, the 8th house Pisces. So it could be a little bit confusing to people because as a Leo rising, you know how Leo risings are. You are one. Um, you know, you might seem more social than you necessarily than you might be. I'm not saying you're antisocial, but there is obviously a huge need for alone time. So yeah, what else can I say about that? Yeah, I think that the Jupiter and Scorpio also gives that like strong desire for that sexual, but like also just like tantric, like but like also just like two souls becoming one union. You know, I just saw 222. I looked at the score 222. The time was 2222. I keep seeing that. And yeah, it goes, yeah, and then Ceres is also in Scorpio. So Ceres, think it's like kind of like a second moon, but not as important. It's how you feel nurtured and how you nurture. So in the fourth and in Scorpio, um, you know, you like to get a lot of focus and attention on you. And it makes you very, very committed, and you want, you expect the same. And you're able to um to be very, very loyal, and you're allergic to like the surface level BS. Like you're such a deep person, like you cannot do it. Like yeah, your Venus and Gemini like kind of like can give you like a little bit, but like you're here for a very deep spiritual reason. It's very, very apparent. And of course, yeah, the Leo rising might give people the idea, not that Leo's vain, and like the rest of your chart totally like goes the other way, but like people might be like surprised by just how deep and sensitive you are, But then, I mean, your sun is in Cancer in the 12, so maybe not that surprised. But the Leo rising definitely gives you the ability to like have passions, and like have things like be in the inner child, like I was talking about earlier, and then just like follow through. That's really dope. Um, okay, so yeah, just like yeah, talk about that. I guess Saturn Libra, like we can talk. I can just talk about that like briefly. It's just you know, there's an ability to really create like long lasting relationships, and makes one very committed to those. And of course, business and romantic, and of course the fact that it is. I don't know where the chart go. Of course, the fact that it is, with Mars, it's going to give that drive towards relationships. Mars and Libra, they tend to be very relationship driven. They drive themselves towards that. But there's definitely like this real like real need for intellectual stimulation in relationships. Your descendant is in air in Aquarius, your Venus is in air in Gemini, and your Mars is in air in Libra. So, you know, it's not a grand trine, but we can kind of think of it as one just based on the energies when it comes to love. So yeah. And then you love really, really intensely with, yeah. And not everyone can handle that intensity. Um, so your ideal partner is Juno, and it's in Sag. So it's someone who also, a fifth house, who can also, with everything I've said, add a level of fun, a level of maybe they're from a different culture, a level of wait. Yo, I swear I did not even think about the other culture part, but I know that you're I have to read your messages to know your boyfriend or husband, but I know that I think your boyfriend is from a different culture. So, and yeah, like having fifth house qualities, like someone, like the Sagittarius Juno people, they really like to yeah, to learn a lot from their relationships and how the relationships uh add to their kind of understanding of of life in the world. And yeah, the fifth house, like having that play in relationships and sexuality. So Black Moon Lilith I talked about. Yeah, just don't be too much of a workaholic. Remember, you have to allow creativity into your life. Best in the seventh in Aquarius, you're gonna be someone who is working very hard for relationships. Also, it could be very, very good if you were like a counselor or a psychologist or someone like working with clients in any type of way. Um, you know, you focus a lot and you're very dedicated to working on, just like all these like relationships, close one-on-one relationships. But sometimes there can be like too much of a fixation with all the Neptune stuff on one person. So it's really important to know, is that person the person? Um, and yeah, you work best when you have freedom, you know. But and also you can work well with people and you know, especially when there's like a commitment to like a humanitarian or a cause that you really believe in. When there's a big link with your heart chakra to what you're doing. Um, yeah, so that's huge. Um, and okay, let's just go over everything, see if it's high. Okay, so yeah, Chiron, like I said, like 10th house. Um, sometimes the 10th house Chiron person, they're meant to be a healer. But first they have to get past like feelings of like feeling inadequate, like imposter syndrome, of really putting themselves out there, right? Um, so yeah. In midheaven, ruled by Venus, once again, you could be an artist. And there, I have midheaven Taurus too, so you can enjoy some stability as it results in your career. Um, and I think with that, yeah, I mean it's in the 11th house, so it's like there is like a big kind of like it could be like later in life that like the real dharma comes in, like things build up to it, different phases, but lots of stability, in respect to career and good for money. Um, okay, talk about that, talk about that. Every aspect. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, yeah. The cool thing about Leo rising is that it's fixed fire, right? So it's like fire usually just like burns fast and like then dies slow. But like when it's fixed fire, it's like you can like, oh, I'm gonna start this and then actually carry through. So, and it gives passion, it gives courage, and you know, it gives like a regal look. Um, So yeah, anyways, let's just like see. So Pallas is conjunct Saturn. That's really good for intelligence. Pallas is kind of like your third eye slash like the part of your it's like the part of you that like the strategist, right? So in the third house, it's a very intelligent person, basically. Good at communicating, even though Saturn's there, which could push that back. Maybe someone quite shy until like their Saturn return. Um, yeah. Um, just lots of like original and creative ideas. And Libra just able to, see both sides of the story, as I've mentioned before, kind of the diplomat that can bring the two differing parties together. Um, so okay, let's pull up the stars slash asteroid. And let me see one thing quick. I was looking up because I wasn't sure about it. Oh, shit. Shit. My Warriors game must have started. Oh, pregame or Lakers. I mean, I like Lakers and Warriors. It's not started yet. Okay, I'm looking for something because I don't know the answer. Um, I don't know what other people like if people are using Eris opposing Mars. I mean, uh, let's just see. Here we are. Because Eris is like that super volcanic, right? Um, it's like challenges material existence, very combative. Fighting spirit. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, my guess, like I usually only do conjunctions, but I mean, it's opposite your Mars. Okay, so like what I would say about that is that like like let's just say it goes back to like if if we're gonna count like I need to like look into this. Um, I've only ever used it uh, with conjunctions, but opposite your Mars, like that's just like more of that volcanic energy. Let's just like it's already been stated, so it's nothing new. So yeah. Okay. So you get the point. Okay, let's take a look. I'm so weird. Um, I'm looking, staring, trying to find conjunctions of asteroids and important points. Asteroids slash fixed stars. Okay. Nothing so far. for something important. Industria rising, I think that could just like be about in Leo, right? Like just pursuing something that you really deeply love and that you're passionate about that reflects that inner child. Um, and it could also be an indicator of fame through your work, um, which is dope, obviously. Duh. Um, speak up, you know, I am wondering, uh what it would do with Pluto. I just don't know. Also, I forgot to say that you have Moon square Juno. I did not mention that. So, um, basically, like that just creates like tension between you know your there's that longing for that deep emotional connection. Um, but you can so right so there's the deep longing that we talked about, which involves like a long-term commitment, marriage. That's what Juno is about, like marriage or long-term commitment. But you find your emotional nature can find yourself at odds with that person that you thought was the one or is the one. And the reason for that is that Sagittarius is there's a need to like talk about space. You need to talk about your need for space and your sensitivity and how you can't always just go out and be misadventure all the time. Um, Also, what can happen? There can be like not listening to your intuition, and not like kind of with the Neptune theme, like not seeing them like for who they really are. Um, Looking for like emotionally unavailable people. So yeah. And aside from that, yeah, no, I think that like I'm trying to think of what else. I think that's pretty much everything I can think of with respect to that. Oh, and also there can be like this like expectation, like where you might expect like this like deep relationship, and the other person is wanting something more casual, right? Because and then fifth house Neptune can also add like confusion, and Uranus there can add like confusion around like one night stand type romance, or like just like very like kind of like that kind of like flirty or just like that kind of romance. Not saying it's happening, just saying like there's potential, and Uranus can actually like create those like kind of just like out of nowhere like quick romances. Um, so yeah. So once again, it's about shadow work. It's everything so far, like in a lot of charts, and how insecurities can really like break down relationships and just the need to get through them. Okay, let's see what else. Let's see. Okay. Come on, Lakers. Come on, Lakers. Okay. Nothing here. Nothing there. Ooh, you have lust on your moon. Lust is like the sexiest uh asteroid, but I know you have scat there. But yeah, lust I'm not even gonna explain. You know what it means. And on the moon, it's just erotic kind of energy, but also it can make people like obsessed with you. But on the moon, in the eighth house, it would be more hidden, which is probably good. But maybe like lovers that you have can kind of become like see you as very sexy, um, and uh, become almost like addicted to that aspect of things. It's potential. Scat um is difficult. Basically, it can make one lose and gain friends. Like there can be kind of yeah, and like that kind of like it can that can happen a good amount, and there can be lots of worry, um, criticism, like losing friends because of criticism, um, and it's also you have to watch out for like accents, again, especially by water. Um, so yeah, that's one of the tougher ones. Um, but it's not it's not so close. Well, actually, yeah, it is. It wasn't showing me. Um, it's like yeah, pretty much spot on there. Um, okay, nothing there. Nothing on the midheaven, eh? Asteroid Lilith is the close. It's pretty close, and that is like when I say feminism, I'm not saying you'd be a feminist, but it could like make someone whose career is like really devoted towards a cause, and that they have this energy like in their like kind of outer life where they um are a woman not to be fucked with, like they can like really like uh kind of win in this like very patriarchal world. Atlantis conjunct Chiron, there could be some healing needed, you know, like there could be some wounds from past lives in Atlantis, but like I'm not saying that, saying like I know that. I just threw that one in there. Um, Haley was talking about that asteroid. I was like, why not have it? If it shows up, like I can just say it, and sometimes I'll say it, and someone will be like, "Oh my God, like I like so into Atlantis, and like I've learned about like different pastors we had there." I'm just like, oh, I only see if it's I only say if it's like really really doing something, doing something. Okay, yeah, massive healing powers and potential. Okay, finally, so see Betelgeuse and Bellatrix on Venus. Fuck, what's the one Haley was talking about? Yeah, see, she's up. Hold on. What's the name of it? There's something in 22 Gemini that Haley was talking about. And it's like if you have placements there, you're a star seed. According to her, you're a star seed from there. Did she have it on her page? Let's search. Right. It is it gonna show? Okay, I think this is it. Is it Hydian? No. No. Where the fuck is? Oh, okay, scissor. Hmm. Let's see. Hmm. Where is there? Maybe she doesn't have. I thought she had posted them. Oh, she has. I just like randomly fell on lust conjunct moon. Indicates that even though asteroid lust itself does not involve emotions, having lust here can indicate actually lusting over depth, deep connection with those who are innately emotional and empathetic. You could lust over those who truly understand you. That's one way of putting it. Yeah, an emotional attraction to emotional connection to um that stuff. It's stuff. Okay. Anyways, I'm pretty much done. But I have one more thing to look at. And your son does not have anything. Nope. And you're here, you're really here. Like, okay, so I don't look at asteroids conjunct the north node, but Amor is like my favorite asteroid. It's all about like unconditional love, and I just can't not say that it's conjunct your north node, like exact degree, and it just makes so much sense, that would be like um something you're here to do, to learn, it just makes too much sense for me not to kind of just throw it in there. um and then rounding out, uh so um you have two planets. What's the other one? And Capella should be there too. It's at 22. It's easier actually if I get out my fixed star list. Why is Capella not showing? Is Capella like I have Capella. Okay, that's one. Is this Capella? No. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. So it's not Beetlejuice, it's Capella. Okay. See, good on me for knowing that. Let's see if it shows me in Gemini. Mintaka, that's what it is. Mintaka. I need to add that to my list. I have so many in that area. Um, 1 second. I'm gonna miss the whole first quarter. So sad. Oh, so sad. Okay, where the fuck is my file? This one. Here it is. I think. Okay. It's not in here. Oh, I spelled it wrong. But still. M-I. I found it. Okay. Okay. Save. Okay. So Mintaka is for you at 2208 and Venus is at 2012. So we can look at it. So the definitions are kind of like, like they're not great. But it says Venus conjunct Mitaka, public position, enmity of woman, love disappointment. But it's not, that one's way weaker than these two, which are wealth stars. So you have your Venus, which is about money, on two of the wealth stars, Bellatrix and Capella. So that is amazing. Those ones are way stronger. The one I just mentioned is like barely in range. So yeah, like Capella is about wealth, honors and success, materially. It's a great place for Venus. They're usually very loving in their manner of communication. They know how to speak beautifully and affectionately to all those around them. And they thus bring beauty back to themselves. Awesome. And then, yeah, money. And then with Bellatrix, the last thing I look at before I end this reading, which is so long. Holy fuck, how long is this one? Oh my gosh, 30 no. I literally like I'm just like, yo, I have a fucking problem. So Bellatrix and Venus is good. It's good for money, but there could be some issues, sea level affairs. Um, so it goes back to the importance to. Oh shit! I just closed down. Yeah, it just goes down to like really taking things slow romantically. I can't believe that I did a 2 hour 30-minute reading for natal when I had your other one to do. Nuts. But anyways, uh hope you enjoyed. And I'm thinking like, I said I would do them back to back, but I just went so deep on your nail chart that I'm like, yeah, because like with compatibility, like I need to be feeling it. Like I need to be in that zone. I can't force it. I mean, I can't force anything. I'm not doing it now. I because yeah, it's 3 a.m. and I have to watch it. I mean, I could. No, like if I did any reading now, it would just be like another nail one. Um, just because like the length of the compatibility and it does take some level. I don't really like doing compatibility readings if it's like there's other readings I'm doing that day. Like like for me, a compatibility it almost needs to be like the first reading I've done that day, or I'm not for it. Anyways, that's it. Thank you so much. I can't fucking believe this was holy shit. I'm gonna take a photo of this. Well, it was even longer than this. It's insane. Um, cool. Well, um, yeah, enjoy. And yeah, we've already talked about everything. We have the follow-ups, and I'm sure you'll add the current astrology slash spiritual alignment for you personally. But let's one thing at a time. Let's get both these dreams done. Um, I'm thinking now I might instruct you to take in the natal. Yeah, I'm gonna have you take in the natal. Um, but that's not to say that I won't do your compatibility. Like, who knows? Maybe I'll do it right now. Why not? But maybe I'll do it tomorrow. It's gonna be very soon. Um, but it also I know I did promise you that it would be the next two, but now that I feel into it, I didn't. I kind of realized I didn't mention to you that with compatibility, I have to fucking be in that zone, you know? So it's next time I'm in that zone. Um, how is that so different than a nail chart reading zone? A nail chart, like, look, like I spent 2 hours and, whatever, nearly 3 hours doing your nail chart. I could have done it in 90 if I was disciplined, but I don't know. I just get on a roll and I just have so much to say and there's just so much and I see so much and you know, it is what it is. I'm not gonna shame myself for doing something incredible in the sense of like, who the fuck does readings for this long for no extra pay? um, I don't know. Uh, I'm happy that I hope the reading finds you well. It's everything you wanted, and it's interesting that I did this and that your vertex is my moon, or very close to my moon. Uh, So I find that very interesting. And it's like conjunct Neptune, Pisces. I'm Pisces. In the fifth house, Leo. I'm Leo rising. And it's Sag. Fucking interesting. I don't know. Okay, I hope you enjoy. Much love. Ciao.